My name is Clara. I'm 38 years old, a housewife who works part-time. My only daughter, Mia, graduated from college last year and moved out. Now it's just me and my husband, Henry, who's 50. With Mia grown up and out of the house, I have more free time. But then something happened that I didn't see coming. Henry and I met on a blind date, and we hit it off right away. Things moved fast, and before we knew it, we were married and had Mia. Being a mom was new to me, but I wanted to do my best for her. When Mia was born, I quit my job to stay home with her. I handled everything, cleaning, cooking, and raising our daughter, all on my own. Henry wasn't much help. After work, he'd either go out drinking or spend his days off doing whatever he wanted. If he stayed home, he just lays around in his room. And yet, he acted like being a housewife was a breeze. "You've got it easy," he'd say. "No real work, and you live here for free." He's completely out of touch. I thought about leaving him, but I didn't want to break up our family over his bad attitude. I figured it was better for Mia to have both parents around. So I decided to raise Mia on my own, without expecting anything from Henry. He became nothing more than the guy who brought home a paycheck. That worked, at least for a while. But when Mia started middle school, Henry started taking money from our savings. I need it for work equipment. It's for business meetings. He always had some excuse, but he was draining our money. I had to step in, so I started working part-time to keep us afloat. Even then, Henry never stopped complaining. "Don't talk about work like you know something. You're just a part-timer. Women's work is nothing. It's as easy as playing around." He clearly had no respect for women, period. On the outside, I smiled and stayed quiet, but deep down, I promised myself I'd get even one day. Then, late one winter night, the phone rang. It was my uncle, my mom's brother, calling to tell me that my mom had been rushed to the hospital and was in critical condition. He gave me the name of the hospital. I got ready quickly and woke Henry up. Even though he didn't want to go, I convinced him to drive me there. My mother, Helen, had been living alone since my father, Robert, passed away a few years ago. My dad was a strong, dependable man, and I adored my mom, who always had a calm and gentle smile when she was with him. My dad passed away after battling an illness for years. Even after losing him, my mom stayed strong and lived quietly, always there to listen when I needed to vent about my husband, Henry, and his behavior. Hearing that my mom might not make it was heartbreaking. Sitting in the car, I silently prayed that she would hold on. When we got to the hospital, my Uncle Tom and a few other relatives were already there. They told me what had happened. Mom woke up in the middle of the night with chest pains. Unsure what to do, she called Uncle Tom, who urged her to call an ambulance right away. After hesitating, she finally did. Uncle Tom rushed over to her house, went with her to the hospital, and called me as soon as he knew where they were taking her. I couldn't thank him enough for what he did. When I saw my mom, she was unconscious, but I still called out to her, hoping she could hear me. The doctor told us it would take some time before her condition stabilized. While we were talking about what to do next, Henry's voice suddenly interrupted. "Huh, is this finally done? You woke me up in the middle of the night for this nonsense. Let's just go home already." He was sitting off to the side, clearly annoyed. I had been so focused on my mom that I forgot he was even there. "Go ahead," I told him calmly. "Please just go home without me." Even though my mom was unconscious, I worried she might hear his cruel words. I couldn't let him stay and make things worse. But instead of leaving quietly, Henry sighed dramatically and added, "What a waste of time. She's not even leaving much behind." Honestly, she was a useless old hag right to the end. As soon as he left, my relatives surrounded me with concern. I took a deep breath, steadied myself, and said, "Don't worry about me. I've already decided. I'm going to divorce him." The next day, after Henry left for work, I packed a small box of clothes and personal belongings. I brought it to my Uncle Tom's house and left my home for good. I had secretly been planning to divorce Henry in a few years after he retired, but his heartless words at the hospital made me realize I couldn't wait any longer. I couldn't keep living with someone who disrespected my mother like that. For now, I rented a room at a small business hotel. Then I reached out to the lawyer I had been consulting for a while. That night, Henry called my cell phone. "Hey, what are you doing? Your mom's still in the hospital, right? You don't need to take care of her now, do you? The funeral isn't even here yet. Why don't you come home and cook dinner?" "Leave me alone, Henry. I'm not coming back. I'm divorcing you." He laughed mockingly. "Ha! You? Divorce me? You're just a housewife with a little part-time job. Go ahead and try." Then he hung up. But just a few days later, he called again. This time, his tone was completely different. "What's this? Divorce papers and alimony demands. What the hell is going on?" he yelled, sounding panicked. Unlike him, I stayed calm. "I told you I'm divorcing you. The alimony is for the emotional damage I've endured because of you." "What? What emotional damage?" "I've kept records of all the terrible things you've said to me. I wrote everything in my diary and on my blog. My lawyer says it's solid evidence." "What evidence?" It seemed he never realized I had been quietly preparing for this moment. "From now on, you'll have to speak to my lawyer if you want to talk about the divorce." "Goodbye, Henry." I ended the call. Not long after that, we finalized the divorce. Henry and I had savings of $200,000, which were supposed to be split between us. But since the alimony amount was equal to his share, we agreed I would keep all the money. At first, he fought hard against this. "There's no such thing as a wife's share. I earned that money, and if you take over your useless mom's house, that belongs to me too." But my lawyer stayed calm and explained everything clearly. "If you push this to mediation or court, it will cost you a lot more time and money. Are you sure you want that?" By hinting at the potential costs, the lawyer got him to back down. When everything was settled, Henry spat out one final insult. "You took all my money. You're a..." But his words didn't bother me. He just sounded like a sore loser. Less than 2 months after the divorce, my mom passed away. I acted as the chief mourner with the support of my relatives. A little while later, I got a call from Uncle Tom and his wife, asking to meet. They sounded serious, though I felt a bit nervous as I went to the restaurant where we agreed to meet. Once we sat down, Uncle Tom didn't waste any time and got straight to the point. "Clara, I need to tell you something," Uncle Tom said. "I got a call from Henry recently. He was asking to borrow money. I already knew about your divorce and how it all went down. So if I had answered the phone, I would have just yelled at him and hung up. But it wasn't me who picked up, it was my wife." "Yes, I was the one who talked to Henry," Aunt Linda added. "I already knew about everything that happened between you two, including his outbursts at the hospital. I never planned to lend him money, but I was curious about what he'd say. So I pretended to be sympathetic and asked him why he needed the money." "Good move, Aunt Linda," I said with a smile. "But seriously, why? Why would he need money?" I was curious too. Sure, I kept the savings after the divorce. But Henry had a job. He should have still been getting paid. "Well," Aunt Linda explained, "he gambled away his paycheck. And when he ran out of money, he borrowed from credit companies. Eventually, they started garnishing his salary and his boss found out. To avoid getting fired, Henry decided to take early retirement." "Wow," I said, shaking my head. "That's a disaster. But didn't he get severance pay when he retired?" "About that," Uncle Tom said. "He used something called an advance payment system. Basically, the severance pay he would have received at retirement was added to his salary and bonuses years ago. But because he quit early, he owed the company a portion of the money back. With no severance pay, no job, and no way to borrow more money, he's completely stuck." I was stunned. I had no idea he'd been using an advance payment system. Thinking back, I realized he had stopped showing me his pay stubs years ago. That must have been when he started using it. So after hearing his story, Aunt Linda continued, "I told him, oh my, let me talk to my husband about it," and then hung up. She chuckled, clearly amused. Later, I learned that Henry hadn't just called Uncle Tom. He had reached out to every relative, asking for money. But how could anyone lend him money? Even the people who attended my mom's wake and funeral had heard about his awful behavior at the hospital. I had no sympathy for him. It seemed like he'd run out of people to turn to. Then one day, my cell phone rang. The number was unfamiliar. "Hello," I answered. "Hey, it's been a while. How are you?" It was Henry. His voice was different, sticky and strange, almost unrecognizable. Hearing it gave me goosebumps. Henry's slimy voice came through the phone. "I went by your mom's house. They're doing some construction. Are you planning to move in after it's renovated?" "No, I'm renting it out," I said firmly. "I thought about living there myself, But since my ex-husband knows where it is, I didn't think it was safe. So I decided against it. I didn't feel the need to explain anything more. Then where are you living now? He asked. I'm not telling you. What? Come on. It's a condo with a concierge at the entrance. People can't just walk in. A condo. Henry sputtered, clearly shocked. No wonder he was surprised. What he didn't know was that I had inherited a large fortune from my mother, a sum far greater than the alimony I received. The story went back to when my father passed away a few years ago. My father had been a tax accountant. When he got sick, he asked one of his colleagues to help manage my mother's finances and my future inheritance. At the time, I was already worried about Henry's terrible money habits, so I suggested to my mom that she disinherit me temporarily. As a result, my mom inherited everything from my dad without Henry ever knowing. When Henry asked me about my dad's inheritance back then, I lied. I told him that the inheritance was negative because of a mortgage and that I had given it up. He believed me without question and never brought it up again. After my mom passed away, I inherited everything. Now, because we're divorced, there's no way for him to touch any of it. My mom was a simple woman who loved high-quality, timeless things, and she never flaunted her wealth. I'm sure Henry always assumed she was poor. He had no idea what was really going on, and I wasn't about to fill him in. If you can afford a condo, why not lend me some money? He asked. Come on, Clara. We raised a kid together. The only thing I'm grateful for is that I met Lily, but that's it. You left me to raise her alone while you insulted me and looked down on me. Do you honestly think I'd help you now? Hey, let's just forget the past and start over, he said, trying to sound convincing. Not a chance. And by the way, aren't you still working full-time? You get a good paycheck, don't you? Unlike me, a mere part-timer. And when you retire, you'll get a nice bonus, right? What? Yeah, about that, he stammered. What's the problem? You were getting a retirement bonus, aren't you? You should use it wisely. I paused for a moment. Anyway, goodbye, Henry. Without waiting for his reply, I hung up the phone. I acted like I didn't know anything about his financial troubles. Honestly, I was ashamed of myself for ever being married to him. I made sure to block the number he had called from so I wouldn't get any more calls. 6 months later, my daughter, Lily, came to stay with me. Mom, I love your new place. I can't wait to have a house like this someday, she said, looking around at the space, which felt a little too big for just me. Lily, your place is great too. Didn't you say you liked it? Yeah, but I can't afford a place like this with my salary. I guess it's only my first year, though. She took a sip of her after-dinner coffee and gave me a wry smile. Seeing her smile like that made me feel calm inside. My ex-husband rarely came up in our conversations anymore. Mom, actually, there's someone I want you to meet. Oh, really? Do you have a boyfriend now? What's he like? Well, don't laugh. But he's a tax attorney. A tax attorney? I laughed. Yeah, can you believe it? And here's the funny part. One day, I found a book on his bookshelf. Turns out it was the one Grandpa wrote. I thought it was fate. Wow, Lily, that's such a nice coincidence. Grandpa would be so happy to know. Lily smiled shyly. I looked forward to the day when I'd see her future husband by her side, both of them sharing a gentle smile.